Welcome to the second phase of the IT project management lifecycle, the initiation phase. In this video, we will walk you through the major activities and the deliverables involved in this phase. Let's start by having an overview of this phase. The initiation phase involves the assignment of project manager, who are responsible for managing and completing the project on behalf of the project sponsor. The project manager will then define the overall project scope and develop the project charter, which formally authorizes the existence of project. Let's see what will happen in this phase. The initiation phase begins when the project proposal developed in the identification phase is approved. The first thing that will happen in the initiation phase is the assignment of project manager. The performing organization appoints the project manager to lead the project team and manage the project. He or she will develop the project charter, which is a document that formally establishes the existence of the project and the value it hopes to deliver to the organization. The project charter document will then be approved by the approving authority and project sponsor. Their approval formally empowers the project manager to expend resources on the project and continue with the planning phase of the project. Let's have a look at the activities and the deliverables of this phase. As I just said, the first activity is to assign a project manager to lead the team in completing the project. Next, the project manager will revise the project complexity assessment performed in the previous phase. Unlike what was done before, part of this activity involves the selection of project management scheme, which determines the activities to be conducted in subsequent phases. After that, the project manager will develop the project charter document. We will talk about this activity in detail. Finally, the project charter will be reviewed and approved by the approving authority and project sponsor. And these are the deliverables output from those activities. Let's go through the major activities now. Assign project manager. A project manager is an individual who are responsible for managing and completing the project on behalf of the project sponsor. In order to carry on, it is imperative that a project manager is assigned at the beginning of this phase. Now, take a look at some of the major responsibilities of a project manager. Lead and manage the project team. Perhaps the most important one. The project manager should lead the team to complete a project from its initiation to closeout. He should develop and maintain a list of roles and responsibilities for the members of the project team, both the internal team members and key stakeholders. He is also responsible for ensuring that resources are allocated and utilized in an efficient manner. Mission for the project manager in this phase is to develop, in conjunction with the project sponsor, a definition of the project. He needs to develop project plans based on the inputs from project stakeholders, execute or facilitate the execution of the plans. Planning activities will be performed in the next phase. He needs to define how to manage risks, then follow the processes defined to identify and analyze risks. As part of the management effort, he has to ensure that the project can be delivered on time, to budget, and to the required quality standard. He needs to develop status reports on a regular basis to update stakeholders on how projects are progressing. These are just some of the many typical responsibilities of a project manager. The actual responsibilities vary depending on specific project needs. Project complexity is one of the three major components of the IT project management framework. It helps determine the management activities to be performed throughout the project life cycle. In the previous phase, the identification phase, the project sponsor performed an initial complexity assessment by completing the project complexity questionnaire, which helps the project sponsor realize the project scale and identify some of the high-level project risks. In this phase, the questionnaire is revisited by the project manager by updating the answers based on the latest project status. When finished, a decision of project management scheme has to be made. Let's see what a project management scheme is. We know that the result of completing the project complexity questionnaire is a complexity score which determines the classification of project complexity, namely basic, low, medium, or high. Each of these 4 levels of project complexity correspond to a specific project management scheme. The activities and deliverables required to complete throughout the project are controlled by the selection of scheme. While it's recommended that project managers should choose the project management scheme based on the result of project complexity assessment, it's up to his or her choice to select the scheme he or she wants if deemed beneficial to the success of the project. Develop Project Charter. Project Charter is a document that describes what the project is and how to approach it. It lists the stakeholders, the final deliverables, and their acceptance criteria. It is a key document in project management, and the team will refer to it throughout the life cycle of the project. Here is the contents of a typical project charter. Project Summary. It provides a description of the project and the business needs it intends to fulfill. It describes the unmet list, demand for services, or opportunity identified underlying the need for an IT project. Project risks, the risks to which the project will be exposed. Customers and final deliverables, the person and parties who will benefit from this project, as well as the end product to deliver. Project success criteria, the principles or standards used to determine or judge project success. Critical success factors, the factors that must be in place to ensure success of the proposed solution. These 5 items were written when developing the project proposal in the identification phase, and are revised and confirmed by the project manager in this phase. Assumptions. Assumptions made in the decision to chart this project. Major management milestones, a list of project management milestones and deliverables. Stakeholders, a list of stakeholders of the project. Stakeholders are people who are actively involved in the project or whose interests may be affected positively or negatively by execution or completion of the project. Resource requirements, the resources required to complete the project. Project complexity assessment, a list of questions and updated answers of the project complexity questionnaire. Let's go through the major items one by one. Assumptions. Assumptions are statements taken for granted or accepted as true without proof and made in the absence of facts. There are typically 2 types of assumptions. Functional assumptions, which relate to the business functionality of the project. For example, adequate resources will be made available to manage and maintain the developed system. Technical assumptions, which relate to the technical environment of the project, such as software, hardware, network, servers, and so on. For example, the current technical architecture will support the projected number of users of this system. Major management milestones is a list of project management milestones and deliverables. Note that this list is not the same as the products and services provided, but is specific to management of the project. Examples of a project management milestone include activities like project start, project proposal approval, project initiated, etc. A set of preliminary estimated milestones are developed during the project proposal. You can revise the list by editing the estimated date and adding more items. For each milestone, state the date it will happen, and the rationale of your choice, which is the supporting reason for the date being what it is. For example, the dependencies on other projects, funding, and other requirements. Stakeholders include all persons and organizations involved in the project, or whose interests will be affected by the execution of the project, or the final deliverables. The figure here shows some of the typical stakeholders, which include both project team members and other stakeholders. Note that the sponsor may be external or internal to the project manager's organization. The roles and responsibilities of stakeholders must be clearly defined in any project. Besides roles and responsibilities, you have to list the individuals who take a stakeholder role in the class of stakeholder. A class is a classification of the stakeholder based on the kind and level of involvement he has on the project. Some of the stakeholders may have the power either to block all events. Some may be interested in knowing what's going on. Others may not be so interested. By stating the class, the team can easily see who have the power and the authority to request changes or stop any initiatives, and who are likely to support an initiative. Besides describing stakeholders' role, capture also the context of stakeholders, such as their physical addresses, mobile phone numbers, email addresses, and etc. If someone cannot be reached at a particular time, describe the details in the additional notes column. Identify the resources that are required to complete the project. Include the amount and the expected source that provides the resources. Here are some examples. Funding. Estimate the funding required for the project. You may reference the results of cost and benefit analysis performed in the identification phase. Customer support. Describe how customers will be involved in the project. Facilities. Describe the facilities required for the project, such as conference room, data center. Equipment. Describe the hardware need for the project, such as printer and scanner. Software tools. Describe the software requirements for the project, such as Microsoft Word, Adobe PDF Reader. Note that the full scope of resources required to execute a project is usually unclear at this stage, but becomes clear during the planning phase, which is the next phase. Additional resources may be requested during project planning. Approval of project charter. A completed project charter will be approved by the approving authority and project sponsor. Their approval formally empowers the project manager to expend resources on the project and continue with the planning phase of the project. Before we carry on, let's have a quick summary of the initiation phase. You've learned the objective of the initiation phase, which involves the assignment of project manager, definition of project scope, and the development of project charter. There are 4 major activities. Assign a project manager to lead the team to complete a project from its initiation to closeout. Revise the project complexity assessment by updating the answers of the project complexity questionnaire given in the identification phase, and then selecting a project management scheme that determines the activities to be performed in subsequent phases. Develop the project charter, which is a document that describes what the project is and how to approach it. Have the project charter approved by the approving authority and project sponsor, which formally empowers the project manager to expend resources on the project and continue with project planning. This ends the initiation phase. In the next phase, various planning activities will be performed. See you again in the next video. Goodbye.